Welcome, Sharon. Thank you.
Thank you, Amandeep. It's a pleasure to be here and my honor.
How did you get started on this path of being a psychic medium?
Started basically in 1998 when my father passed. I was a psychic kid and I'd, see dead people kind of thing and have premonitions. I think we're all psychic kids. It's just that the outer world kind of breeds that out of us. And I was raised in a religious background. I was raised Catholic, and that wasn't something that I was able to talk to my parents about, or my grandmother, who we lived with for a while, because she was very strict Catholic. So I pushed it down, and it scared me. Fast forward to when my father passed in 1998. I needed to know that he was all right. We were very close. I needed to know that he still existed, and I didn't believe in I should say that the Catholic way, or the Christian way, fundamental Christian way of heaven or hell, just didn't really, the judgment type of thing didn't sit well with me. And I knew that I needed to know that he was still viable. So I started reading as many books as I could get my hands on mediumship. Actually, they were brought to me by my sister. She says, "Why don't you read one of these by George Anderson?" I'm like, "Okay, this makes sense." George Anderson, the medium. This makes sense. Well, he communicates with crossed over loved ones, and then I was reading all the famous authors back then, John Edward and James Van Praagh, and I started having sleep paralysis episodes at the same time. And if anyone knows what sleep paralysis is, it can be very, very scary. I had no desire to be a psychic medium or to have that as a profession. That was not something that was my goal at that time. And I started having sleep paralysis episodes. I didn't understand what they were. I thought I was dying. And sleep paralysis, of course, is that feeling of when you wake up and your body's still asleep, but you're paralyzed. Actually, I found out it's a natural state for us to be in when we're waking up or falling asleep, when we disconnect from our physical senses, so that we don't act out our dreams and things like that. So I didn't know anything about it. We're not taught all these types of things in, you know, religion or school or anything like that. And then I came across an article on the internet. This was around 1999, where there's not a lot on there on the internet at that time about this kind of thing, but that talked about out-of-body experiences, and how sleep paralysis was a really good way for you to have an out-of-body experience. And one of the benefits of out-of-body experiences or astral projection is that you can find your loved ones. And I'm like, oh, there we go. That's how I can find my dad and know that he's fine and he's good and he's still living a productive life and a fulfilled life. So I started buying books on out-of-body experiences, because I'm a big reader, and studied as much as I could about that. And I was able to have out-of-body experiences, and I still do to this day. I've journaled over 2,000 since then. And then back to your question, then I had a near-death experience in 2001, okay, where and that's a huge deal for me. I mean, all of it led up to my near-death experience, and I was already having out-of-body experiences at the time. So in the near-death experience, I was met by Christ. What happened was I fell out of the back of a bus and was run over by a trailer, ran over my head, because we went tubing down the Guadalupe River, and as we were on the shuttle bus to go back to our cars, I was at the back of the bus, and we were packed on the little school bus, and the emergency exit door popped open, and I fell out as he was driving down the road, and the trailer that was pulling the ice chests and the inner tubes ran over my head. So I popped out of my body at that point. I was met by Christ. I was met by my stepdad first, and then I was met by Christ. And I will say, during my out-of-body experiences, when I was practicing and trying to find my dad, I did find him many times. Christ took me on a trip once I was merged with him and remembered him. He took me on a trip to a water world, where I recognized as my home world, one of my home worlds. I understand now that we have home worlds. See, this is over 20 years ago, that we resonate with. And it was, and I saw myself as aquatic being. That's another whole story in itself right there. So I'm getting to your question. after my near-death experience, I worked with Christ, and guides started coming to me. I was not a spiritual person. I was not a religious person at all. I was a partier, actually. I held down a job, but I was drinking and doing things like that, partying, trying to repress, I realized later, a violent childhood, which I didn't remember. It was repressed, but I didn't want any of it to come up, right? So that's why I was partying. As I worked with Christ on a really intimate level with me, he helped me heal a lot of things. And then my gifts and abilities started coming back to the surface because he helped me peel away the layers of trauma and blocks and things like that. And this is a super, super condensed version of what what happened over a couple of years that he worked with me. He still works with me, of course, but he helped me peel away the layers. And then I started realizing that I was my guides, and my whole guidance system helped me realize that my gifts and my abilities. We all have unique gifts and abilities. I started doing it part-time, just playing around with it, and it seemed like it was something that fulfilled me. How I saw that what was coming through, I was the channel. I am the channel. I call myself a telephone. That it helped people, and people were being healed in some way from what I was bringing through, not from me, but from what I was bringing through. I'm just the channel for it, and now I have a practice, and so it's been quite the journey.
So after you had the second NDE, how did it change your life?
Well, that's another story too. And if I can share my book real quick, I write about all of this we're talking about in my book that just came out. It's called Awakened Soul, but my near-death journey home through Christ's infinite love. And it is not religious. It is more metaphysical than anything. This has been 10 years in the making. And so this is a huge deal for me. And also sharing a lot of the experiences that are not something that is religious, because it definitely pushes the boundaries of religion, my experiences with him. And I'm hoping that it will help someone, or people have told me that as they read it, it heals them. I'm like, yes, that's because
Where can they get the book?
It's on Amazon, and you can go to my website and find it. It's called Awakened Soul by Sharon Sananda Kumara. I'm doing 4 Awakened Souls. I'm already working on 2. So, which is about my out-of-body experience journey. But I talk about out-of-body experiences. He helped me heal through out-of-body experiences. He helped me through past life soul retrieval. He helped me through so many things. And I remembered that I had another near-death experience when I was 9 years old. And so that came, there was just so much there. It's just so much. So with my 2001, which was my second NDE, which I didn't know was my second until I had my second, and then I remembered my first. But in that out-of-body experience, yeah, it definitely changed my life. I stopped drinking. I stopped doing drugs. When my stepfather passed, and I'll tell this one little story. It's in the book. When my stepfather passed, I was in a relationship that was not good, and I was doing. He and I were doing cocaine. I didn't realize it at the time that he was addicted. I just did it on the weekends, and he would bring it home, and I'd do it. Yeah, okay, but I was able to not do it during the week, so I just do it on the weekends. Well, I found out later that he was doing it all the time. Anyway, so when my dad passed, my partner at the time had some on the counter, and this was like the day after, or 2 days later after he passed. I start to to do a line, and I feel my stepdad standing here right next to me, just as real as anything. And he said to me, I hear it so loud in my mind, he says, what the what the heck are you doing? That stuff will kill you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. My dad, he's right. And I could feel that I was getting addicted. I could feel it. I was probably thinking that at the time, but I could feel it. And I stopped, and I hadn't done it since. So that was after my stepfather passed. He basically saved my life. And after, but I was still drinking every once in a while. I stopped drugs, but I was still drinking every once in a while. And after my head injury, in 2001, things changed for me so much with the partying and wanting to, well, it changed my life because I was sitting in meditation every night with him. I made a commitment that I would sit in meditation with him every night at 9 p.m. so that we could work together. And I'm feeling emotion with that. And I did it. I did it. I, I held up my end of the bargain. He held up his end of the bargain because that was the conversation we had in my NDE. That I said, okay, I'll go back because I didn't want to come back. That was, I was home. Okay, but you have to make sure that I know that you're right there with me. Because when I was growing up or as a young adult, I did believe in Christ. I did believe in God, but I just felt like the saints and Jesus, who I call Yeshua, were too far for that we have to go through some, an intermediary or something like that, right? Which just didn't sit right with me. And I'm the kind of person that needs to experience things on their own. And so the fact that he was there with me, first of all, he had to help me get over that feeling of not feeling worthy of him there because I was back in the ego body. Whereas when I was on the other side with him, I didn't feel that. Anything, any feelings of unworthiness, any pain, any guilt, any shame just disappeared when I was in his presence, in his arms, okay? In his presence. And that story is about the merging with him is in my book. And so, yeah, I had to heal a lot. And he helped me with that through past life soul retrieval. I saw lifetimes where I had a lot of trauma, and we all have these lifetimes that we haven't healed, that we bring forward. He helped me understand that we bring forward into another life what we haven't healed, because the idea is to have challenging experiences, because we have soul growth with challenging experiences, and heal it within that life experience. But unfortunately, our lives are kind of cut short now. Not kind of, they are cut short. We die too soon and we don't heal it and we don't forgive it, whatever it takes to heal something. And then we reincarnate to see how to heal whatever we haven't healed, to try and heal. We choose to experience similar situations. So that's what I was doing and working through a lot of that with him. I don't remember having a life review, but I do believe that what he was helping me with in my meditations was my life review.
Okay.
I just couldn't bring everything that I experienced within that near-death experience back into my physical body all at once.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of people, you may have noticed, that talk about how information comes to them in stages in an NDE. It's You're bringing in a lot of information, and light carries information, so that's a lot of light to bring into our bodies. It would blow me out, basically, is what it would do. And so um now, yes, I do believe that we have the opportunity to heal what we haven't healed here, but I also believe that we choose, and healing there is different than healing here, because we're in the higher realms and there isn't that experience like it is here, that friction, that duality like we have here. So we can choose, we make the choice to come down with a soul group member, and we're talking to our soul group, whatever level we're at that point, our soul group members, and like, you and I were supposed to work on this and heal it. I asked you to kill me, or I asked you to beat me up, or whatever it was, and you did, and I didn't heal it. I couldn't forgive you. Hey, you want to try it again, or something like that? It's just like getting back in the game. Okay, well, I'm not going to sit on the bench and just watch the game being played. I want to get down there, and I want to be a part of this huge thing that's going on right now, and a part of my soul growth, because we can have so much soul growth here. And it's really amazing when you are able to see it from the soul's perspective. And that's what Yeshua, and he worked with me on and still does, is diving into our soul. And that's what my book's all about. And I'm going to, the series that I'm working on is all about is diving deep into our soul so that we remember who we are. Yeah. Who we truly and really are.
So what's on the other side?
From my experience, okay? The other side is not a lot different than here. I mean, it's very, very crowded, very busy. Not crowded like we describe crowded, but what I mean is we're still existing. We're still doing things. We're still, especially in the higher planes, we're doing what we enjoy. And we want our heart and our soul wants to be of service. So we're helping others. We do what we enjoy, how we enjoy being of service, whatever it is. I realize that I help I do psychopomp work on the other side, and I started doing it here as well. But I didn't know that I was doing it there until I started doing it here. And then I realized, oh gosh, when I go out of body experiences, sometimes I'll help people move from the spirit plane into the higher planes because they might be, stuck on the earth plane as a ghost. So there's lots of things that we can do. We can be helpers for our loved ones here. We still exist. We can have a body, we need some kind of vehicle to travel around. We can go to other planets, which is what I do as well. And he showed me that water planet, which is a huge, huge deal for me because it felt like Earth doesn't, as much as I love this planet, it didn't feel like like a home where I, long to be. And it didn't feel like I love humanity too, but it didn't feel like they were my family that I'd spent eons with on this planet. We live a lot longer on this water planet, and I feel like that is I know that is a form that I take that's more in tune with my soul.
And this water planet that you talk of, are the people there like us, the beings there, or are they very different?
They are like the ones that I remember. I've seen many, many aquatic beings, but the ones that I remember the most is like like a mermaid. And we have families. Yeah. And it's gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful beings. And they, because the planet is all water. I mean, there's caves and things like that under the water. Yeah, and since I started sharing that, because I'm like, how do I share this stuff? It sounds like fantasy, but it's more real to me than here. And so people have written to me after I started sharing that, saying, "Oh my gosh, I've had dreams and meditations where I remember being on a water planet as, a mermaid, and people were coming to me in my clientele and in sessions where they remembered this or we remembered that. I helped them together in meditation or in hypnosis. So I believe that there's all different types of beings on this planet. Some resonate, from other star systems, other galaxies as well, and that our history is been hidden from us about who we really are and what our DNA holds. And a lot of that is coming out now, thank goodness. We're multidimensional. We're immensely powerful and immensely multifaceted, not just this right here. This is just a small part of who we really are, our soul.
So if somebody wants to connect to the other side, what steps can they take?
Well, trust what you're getting, be open. Meditation's number one. Reflection, I call it devotion time. Regular meditation is huge because then it helps you to be open. It helps clear your channel. Pay attention to little synchronicities around you, signs and things like that. Ask your guidance that you want, or tell them that you want to connect and you would like for them to show you signs, and then be open to whatever comes through. And make it a part of your daily practice, just like brushing your teeth, just like taking a shower. And then your guidance will know if your guidance knows you're committed, then they'll be committed with you and they will do everything within their power to help you. Oh, and we always have to heal. We have to get through the barriers, the the blocks that get in the way of us trusting our abilities. Because I've noticed over the years of doing this work with people that a lot of people that are trying to dive back into their or uncover their unique abilities were persecuted in other lifetimes, as a witch or, some kind of earth religion worshiper, were pagan or druid, those types of beings that were persecuted, the Vatican. And so, yeah, that will be a block, because if you're killed, because I saw a lifetime where I was burned at the stake in Germany as a witch, and that was pretty profound. And it made sense why I was afraid maybe it's persecuted and killed that way. There's a lot of people that have gone through that are trying to dive into their experiences or their gifts and abilities, bringing that forward.
So why do souls want to experience difficult times? Like, I know your childhood was not an easy one. You went through a lot.
Challenges help us grow. They help us understand the duality. We chose duality. If we have the good, we have to have what we call the bad, right? And or just the light and the dark. So they help us have empathy for others as well. And we come here to experience everything there is to experience. We are God experiencing through our bodies, our vehicles. We're God's source. We're love and light experiencing through our bodies. And so challenging experiences help us understand what someone else might be going through and help them. We have to go through challenging experiences so that we can grow and have empathy, and also connect more to our heart and be a heartfelt presence on the planet. If we're just skating all the time and everything's hunky-dory, and we're just going through life, we're not even having anything that causes challenge for us, to me, it's kind of a wasted life. Because this is the realm that we come to for challenges. We are infinite. So we have an infinite part of us that is not experiencing what we have here. This is a gift for us to be able to experience what we don't or won't be able to experience in the higher planes. So it's really not, when you look at it that way, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It
It's
may
probably
feel like a really bad thing when we're in it. Yeah.
Yeah, we always understand much, much later that, oh, that happened for a good reason. But in the moment, when you're going through hell, you're just like,
Right.
it's
It
hard
feels like
to.
you're in hell, and you pretty much are, because hell is, it's a mindset. And I write a lot about that in my book. Another shameless plug here about my dark night of the soul, because I went through a very deep dark night of the soul, remembering all the way to galactic wars and things like that. So yeah, it was a very deep dive, what my guidance called a quickening, which I wouldn't wish on anybody, but there was a lot going on within that year, those 2 years, where I had to break open things. We have to break open. Rumi has a quote, and I'm paraphrasing here, but you have to break your heart open have to break your heart in order for it to open.
Can you share with us, for those people that don't know what the dark night of soul is?
Well, everyone's different. Okay. Their experience is different, but usually the result of it is usually anxiety and panic attacks. And I was going through that. I ended up in the hospital 3 times. Memories were coming up in me that were extremely terrifying. I couldn't tell the difference between my memories and real life, or I should say, well, it's all real, and unreal, but my physical life, minimum, with panic attacks and anxiety that led to panic attacks. I was agoraphobic. I couldn't leave the house. I was able to see beyond the veil into the 4th dimension, where I saw beings that were not friendly at all. Reptilian beings. I was seeing crazy stuff, and experiencing that, but I had to deal with it. I had to go through it in order to get on the other side of it. I know that now. I realized that was clearing for my ancestry, my family too. And that's what we do when we heal, is we also clear for our ancestry that has similar types of traumas that they haven't been able to heal. Legacy, ancestry, up and down and all around. So, it's the most important thing we can do for ourselves is heal. But it's pretty scary if you don't know what's going on. I didn't know what was going on.
For
It's
everyone.
different, but the outcome is usually the same, where you are shifting, you've shifted so much, meaning that you are aware of who you are. I mean, we're always shifting, right? And we're always learning, we're always growing. The payoff is so much better than so much better than the dark night of the soul part of it.
What's the most important life lesson you've learned in this life?
Well, I don't call them lessons, I call them remembering. Okay. And I just remembered that the one thing, the main thing that Yeshua Christ wants us to remember is that, first of all, we are love. We are God in expression, and God is love. And I tell that story how he helped me remember that, which is quite a story there. Yeah, that and then we're so much more than our physical life here. I mean, there's so much that we can explore, that we are, and not to have fear. Fear was a big deal for me until I started opening up. I was afraid of people, basically, because of my history, and he helped me. There's no way I could have been giving interviews or anything like that. Talking to. I've been on stage speaking. There's no way I could have done that before I went through my healing. There's no way. Okay. I know that's probably someone's biggest. I think I saw a survey where it said it was the number one fear was public speaking over death. I'm glad to hear that, because we don't die anyway. So we shouldn't be afraid to die anyway. And that's how we live our life fully, is not being afraid to die. But yeah, that's the number one fear, is public speaking. Yeah, I was definitely there. So if I hadn't worked on my healing, and that's one of the things I remembered, is we have to heal in order to shift. We have to do something in order to shift sooner or later.
If someone has a fear of not dying, but how they're going to die, how can they overcome that?
I believe that we all have the ability to heal ourselves. Okay. And we're all here to help each other as well. So it depends on the person if they feel they need a little bit of guidance, because no psychic medium can fix someone, right? Can tell you, oh, don't be afraid of this, that kind of thing. We have to do it ourselves. And so if we have some kind of a fear of dying a certain way, like maybe falling off a bridge, or afraid of heights, that type of thing, then there's probably some kind of trauma that we had in another lifetime that we can heal and bring that in. And that way, that will probably go away. By the way, another shameless plug, I'm teaching a class on Sunday on past life soul retrieval. So if anyone's interested, on Zoom. Okay. And yeah, so understanding, that's diving into our soul and understanding what makes us tick, and what causes our fears and our anxieties and things like that, is what diving into our soul is all about. So in my class, I teach you how you can do it yourself, how you can find those blocks and work through them and bring them in. And it's just fragmentation work. That's the first thing that Yeshua worked with me on, is bringing fragments of myself in, which mainstream mental health therapy works with all the time in our current life, right? We just don't look at past lives, where the crux of it is.
So the classes that you hold online, is it like a group of sessions you're doing, or classes, or is it just one class at a time?
Well, this is one class. It's a 3-hour class, but I do courses as well. But the one on Sunday is just a 3-hour class where We gather together, and it's live. Now I do courses where it's over a month for past life soul retrieval, where I help people do that type of work with others as well. Do it for yourself. You do that work for yourself, and then also help others with it as well if you're a practitioner, if someone wants to do that. I also teach a month-long course on psychic mediumship as well, and how to achieve the out-of-body experience state and lucid dreaming, being aware in our dream time, which is super important. And also automatic writing and channeling. I teach a course on that, and psychopomp course, spirit rescue. So there's a lot that, and this is all metaphysical stuff, you know, it's not religious, and Christ is the one who taught it to me. So, which is crazy.
Well, since we're talking about crazy, there's so much craziness happening on the planet. So any insights to what is taking place?
Yeah, I was shown all this 20 years ago too, a lot of it. Luckily, things have gotten better from what I was shown 20 years ago, because 20 years ago when I was looking at it or being seeing it, all of a sudden it wasn't, it was a lot worse than what's happening now. So I'm glad. And as time progressed, I saw that it was getting better and better because more people were waking up to their, to who they are. Yeah, I feel like we're on the other side of it, meaning the precipice of what Yeshua called the Great Plan, where so many people are remembering who they are, who we are, and there's so many star seeds on the planet, so many light workers who are bringing so much light. We have to shift into this higher space and be there for each other, come together in some way to where we remember that we're all here for each other. We're all here for each other. And so and realize that I've realized, and I've seen it, that there's a big force at work, but it's getting the dark, it's like Star Wars, right? The light force, the dark force, that the dark force is there's so much light coming on the planet that the dark that's been keeping us in fear for a very long time is going away slowly, little by little. The light is being shown on. We're going through what you would call a detox. Humanity's going through like a detox, and we have to do that ourselves in order for it to spread out through humanity and heal. So everything that's been hidden is being shown, just like what Christ said. Or it's might be in Revelations, or Christ said. I haven't read the whole Bible, so I don't know. Bible study, but what has been hidden in the dark will come to light. And we're in the time of revelation where everything that's been hidden is coming to light. And that's why it's so crazy. When we do a detox, if you've done a detox, or if anyone's watching has done a detox, all the stuff that's been that we haven't taken care of comes to the surface, and it's nasty stuff. So that's what's happening. But I do feel, and I've been shown so many times, and I get it, that we're moving into an amazing time.
Will we see that soon?
We're seeing it now. Things are happening. And if you do your research, you'll see that lots of things are happening with becoming a member of a galactic force or galactic community. Okay. And that's the biggest thing really in our lifetime, in all the lifetimes, is that's been hidden from us, is that there are other beings out there, and than us. We've lived in this bubble on this planet, this quarantine bubble, because of how we've been kept down. And so, not being able to remember who we are, and that there are beings out there helping us. And so, with what we call disclosure is happening within us, is happening within the communities. We're not going to get it from the government like we think we will or want, right? So that's a huge deal. There's already news out there. If you just do a little bit, if anyone does a little bit of research, where we're building on the moon, we're building on Mars, we're starting communities soon. I'm getting like 10 to 20 years. I do a show on this on my YouTube channel a little bit, because I do a monthly thing on galactic updates, where 10 to 20 years, it's gonna be normal for us to take a commercial flight, space flight to the moon, or yeah, or to Mars or something like that. And because I've been told over and over and over it's gonna be in my lifetime. I figure I got another, I don't know, 30, 40 years, I guess. I don't know. But we also can ascend in our bodies, is why I'm being told too. Because we're going to be living a lot longer. We were meant to live 400 or 500 years or more. We used to 600 years, but another topic, the crazy topic, is that how the Anunnaki, one of the Anunnakis, topped off our DNA to where we weren't allowed to live past 120 years. That's why I'm saying it starts within us. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And that's why we have to heal our shadows, our shadow parts of us. As we heal, the collective heals. Shadows of us that are repressed, the traumas are our shadows that we haven't healed. Uh, Guilt, shame. We've been told that we need to feel guilty about this. I mean, it's in our language, shame on you, that kind of thing. Just like I said, shameless plug, no shame. I'm going to plug my book. I wrote it so people can read it, right? But
It's in
but we've
religions too,
been
right?
it's totally in religion. Yeah, that's why I'm saying that my relationship with Christ is anything but religious, but religious. And I'm not saying everyone needs to, I'm not pushing the religion part of Christ. He teaches us that we have Christ within us. And we just need to uncover that. We need to heal it and remember it. And his teachings have not been um, put out there the way the true teachings. Okay? So his true teachings, and he taught me so much. And I don't know, but I just want to say that I'm not pushing the religious part of him. He's here for everyone, and our guidance is always here for all of us, and definitely not in a religious way. He embodies the full embodiment of source, of the infinite intelligence, of what we call God, what some of us call God. So he was able to attain that, and he tells us that we can attain that too, just by doing our work. And so the shadows are what we need to shine light on, and not then stop beating ourselves up, stop feeling guilty. Yeah, the church is push guilt for sure. They've been doing it for couple thousand years, right? For sure. So yeah, and remembering that we're already loved. We are love, and we're sitting there with God right now. This is what we are creating. We're projecting, and which is a whole other topic, right? The holographic reality, like you were saying, the video game, but still, we're in it. It's the game that we're in, these roles that we're playing. It's pretty cool once we get out of our shadows. Once we shine light into our shadows and let them come up, and not be afraid to see them, not be afraid to work through the anxiety, the fears, the traumas. We have to that helps us shift. We have to do that. And then the collective follows suit.
Any final message to the audience?
Just know that everything's going to be okay. We're doing good. Humanity's doing good. It may seem like it's crazy, but do as long as we do our part to be in a place of love and service, then we'll be fine. And know that you're never, ever, ever alone. We have so many people, so many beings working with us on the other side to help us. And so many beings are watching us, because this is a huge deal for humanity. Will never, ever, ever happen again with the collective on this planet shifting into these higher frequencies. Everything's going to be good. We're good.